Most people drift through life on autopilot, chasing routines, trends, and social norms like they're written in stone. From childhood, we're handed an invisible playbook: what to strive for, how to act, what to value, and even how to define fun, status, and success. But very few ever pause to question it. Sigma males do more than question it, they dissect it with surgical precision. Where others conform, Sigmas challenge. Where most follow, they diverge. Armed with a deep-rooted need for freedom, mental clarity, and personal truth, Sigma males approach life with a red pen, crossing out anything that feels performative, energy-draining, or hollow. Their decisions aren't made for applause, they're made for alignment. What results is a lifestyle that's often misread as rebellious, aloof, or antisocial, when in fact, it's a deliberate choice to live without noise, fakery, or compromise. To the outside world, it may look like they're missing out. But to the Sigma, they're cutting through the fog most people don't even realize they're trapped in. In this video, we're pulling back the curtain on this mindset. You'll see how Sigma males consciously walk away from certain habits and behaviors that society blindly embraces. Not out of spite or arrogance, but because their inner compass points somewhere deeper. So, what are these everyday things that most people adore, but Sigma males couldn't care less about? Here are 8 normal things Sigma males have no interest in. Number 1. High-volume nightlife. For many, a night out means neon lights, deafening bass, and a sea of strangers pressed together in a dimly lit room, a sensory overload packaged as entertainment. The modern nightclub is designed to bombard visitors with stimuli, music cranked to ear-splitting levels, strobe lights flashing in erratic patterns, and crowds so dense that navigating the space feels like wading through molasses. To the average socialite, this chaos is exhilarating, a temporary escape from the monotony of daily life. But for the Sigma male, it's an exercise in frustration. The first casualty in such an environment is meaningful conversation. In a space where shouting is the only means of communication, dialogue becomes fractured and superficial. Nuanced discussions, intellectual exchanges, or even lighthearted banter are drowned out by the relentless thump of the DJ's set. The Sigma values depth, whether in friendships, debates, or casual interactions, and finds little reward in trading shouts over a cacophony of synthetic beats. Worse still, the constant sensory assault forces his nervous system into a state of hyper-awareness, leaving him mentally drained rather than invigorated. This aversion isn't rooted in antisocial tendencies but in a deliberate preference for environments where interaction carries weight. A quiet speakeasy, a late-night walk under the stars, or an intimate gathering among close friends offers what a nightclub never can: the ability to listen, reflect, and engage without distraction. The Sigma isn't against fun, he simply defines it differently. For him, a memorable evening isn't measured by how loud the music was or how many strangers he brushed past, but by the quality of the connections made and the clarity of thought preserved. Number 2. Amusement parks. On the surface, amusement parks promise adventure, a whirlwind of gravity-defying rides, sugary treats, and larger-than-life attractions. But beneath the glossy advertising lies a reality of endless queues, overpriced concessions, and carefully orchestrated chaos. A day at a theme park often unfolds like this: an hour in traffic just to reach the parking lot, another hour shuffling through security and ticketing lines, and then the real test of patience, waiting 90 minutes for a 90-second roller coaster ride. By the time the sun sets, visitors have spent more time standing in lines than actually experiencing the park's advertised thrills. For the Sigma male, this trade-off makes little sense. He appreciates excitement as much as anyone, but not when it comes at the cost of autonomy. The rigid structure of an amusement park, where every movement is dictated by turnstiles, timed entries, and pre-recorded safety announcements, feels less like leisure and more like a choreographed routine. Why surrender an entire day to predetermined schedules when the same adrenaline rush can be found on an open road, a secluded hiking trail, or even a challenging personal endeavor? The Sigma's idea of adventure is self-directed. He'd rather explore backcountry routes where the only lines are the ones drawn by nature, or dive into a passion project where progress is dictated by his own discipline, not an operator's whistle. Even something as simple as swimming in a quiet lake at dusk holds more appeal than waiting in a sweaty crowd for a brief moment of manufactured exhilaration. It's not that he dislikes thrill, he simply refuses to let an institution dictate when, how, and for how long he's allowed to feel it. Ultimately, the Sigma's rejection of amusement parks isn't about disdain for fun, but a refusal to accept passive participation in his own enjoyment. He seeks experiences where freedom isn't an illusion and where the memories made are his own, not prepackaged, mass-produced, and sold back to him at a premium. Number 3. Speeding and reckless driving. Automotive culture has long romanticized velocity as a proxy for virility, a mythology perpetuated by Hollywood's fetishization of screeching tires and near-miss collisions. Films like Fast and Furious and video game franchises glorify vehicular anarchy, equating horsepower with personal power. Advertisements sell speed as transcendence, the open road as a canvas for rebellion, the accelerator as an antidote to mediocrity. This narrative preys on primal psychology, conflating risk-taking with freedom and recklessness with charisma. The Sigma male dissects this illusion with clinical precision. He understands that a car is neither toy nor talisman, but a multi-ton projectile requiring reverence. Where others see a throttle as an invitation to exhibitionism, he recognizes it as a responsibility gauge, every incremental mph amplifying potential consequences. His appreciation for automotive engineering is nuanced. He admires precision handling in controlled environments like racetracks but views public roads as shared spaces demanding collective accountability. This philosophy stems from a deeper understanding of true mastery. Any adrenaline junkie can mash a pedal, real skill manifests in smooth gear transitions, anticipatory braking, and situational awareness that borders on prescience. The Sigma's version of cool isn't donuts in parking lots but perfect parallel parks executed in one fluid motion. Not the roar of a revved engine at a stoplight, but the barely audible purr of a well-tuned machine operating at peak efficiency. Statistical reality reinforces his stance. According to NHTSA data, speeding contributes to nearly one-third of all traffic fatalities annually, a stark counterpoint to its cinematic glamorization. The Sigma processes this not as abstract information but as ethical calculus. No fleeting thrill justifies compromising others' safety. His discipline reflects an unshakable principle, that true confidence needs no audience, and real control is demonstrated through restraint. Ultimately, his approach to driving mirrors his approach to life, measured intensity channeled through disciplined execution. While others use their vehicles as crutches for ego, the Sigma's relationship with the road is one of mutual respect, a silent understanding that the mark of a superior driver isn't how fast they can go, but how seamlessly they blend into the flow, leaving no wake of chaos in their path. Number 4. Constant self-documentation on social media. In today's hyper-connected world, experiences have become increasingly performative, measured not by their intrinsic value but by their potential for digital validation. The modern social contract demands documentation, meals meticulously arranged for Instagram, concerts viewed through smartphone screens, and private moments interrupted by the reflexive reach for a camera. What began as casual sharing has morphed into a compulsive need for external verification, as if reality itself requires an audience to become legitimate. For the Sigma male, this cultural shift represents a fundamental corruption of experience. When confronted with something extraordinary, whether a breathtaking sunset, an exquisite culinary creation, or an unexpected moment of human connection, his immediate response is immersion, not curation. Where others instinctively angle their phones to capture the perfect shot, he engages all 5 senses, allowing the moment to unfold organically. The scent of rain on pavement, the interplay of flavors in a well-crafted dish, the unguarded laughter between friends, these nuances evaporate when attention shifts from participation to production. The cognitive cost of constant documentation is seldom acknowledged. Framing, filtering, and captioning fracture attention, transforming the participant into a director, more concerned with how the moment appears than how it feels. The Sigma recognizes this as a Faustian bargain, trading presence for pixels, authenticity for algorithms. His memories remain vivid precisely because they were never diluted by the act of preservation. The brain encodes experiences more deeply when undistracted by the mechanics of capture. This isn't to say he rejects photography entirely. Travel landmarks, architectural details, or technical references warrant documentation, but as tools for future utility, not trophies for immediate consumption. The distinction lies in intentionality. Most people document to prove they lived. The Sigma lives so fully that proof becomes irrelevant. In eschewing the performative aspects of modern existence, he reclaims something increasingly rare, the sovereign right to experience life without an intermediary, where the only validation that matters is his own. Number 5. Identity through consumer labels. Luxury capitalism operates on a simple alchemy, transforming base materials into status symbols through branding alchemy. A $20 white t-shirt becomes a $500 objet d'art when stamped with the right logo, not because of superior craftsmanship, but through the magical thinking of perceived scarcity. Entire demographics now construct identities through consumer semiotics, their worth signaled through handbag logos, watch brands, and limited edition sneakers. The Sigma male dismantles this illusion with the precision of a watchmaker taking apart a counterfeit Rolex. His relationship with material goods follows a strict hierarchy of value. Every potential purchase undergoes a three-stage interrogation. Does it solve a practical problem? Does it bring genuine aesthetic pleasure? Does its quality justify the cost? The fourth question, the one that drives most consumer decisions, never enters the equation. Will this impress others? This exclusion is deliberate. The Sigma recognizes status-seeking consumption as a zero-sum game where participants chase moving goalposts. Today's must-have item becomes tomorrow's discard pile fodder. This philosophy manifests in subtle but profound ways. While others baby their designer shoes in fear of scuffs, the Sigma wears rugged boots that improve with patina. Where the label-conscious agonize over seasonality, he builds a lean wardrobe of timeless pieces that outlast trends. His possessions share common traits: durability, functionality, and understatement, because he views tools as extensions of self, not advertisements for self. The psychological liberation here is immense. By decoupling worth from ownership, the Sigma escapes the anxiety treadmill of competitive consumption. His confidence derives from internal metrics: skills mastered, challenges overcome, values lived, making him impervious to the shifting sands of fashion. This isn't minimalism for its own sake. The Sigma will gladly invest in a handcrafted leather briefcase or precision kitchen knives, but only when the item's utility and craftsmanship resonate personally rather than socially. The cumulative effect is a form of reverse conspicuous consumption. The less he signals through possessions, the more power those possessions actually hold. A decade-old watch on his wrist carries more narrative weight than a showroom-fresh status symbol precisely because its value can't be purchased. In a world screaming for attention through branded plumage, the Sigma's quiet selectivity becomes its own statement, that true refinement needs no logo, and real status can't be bought. Number 6. Celebrity gossip and worship. Modern media ecosystems operate on a currency of manufactured intimacy, a paradoxical relationship where millions feel personally connected to individuals they've never met. Tabloids, entertainment news, and social media platforms have perfected the art of transforming celebrities into psychological proxies, offering audiences the illusion of participation in glamorous lives. The average consumer becomes engrossed in the minutiae of star-studded relationships, cosmetic procedures, and feuds, dramas meticulously crafted to trigger dopamine spikes through schadenfreude or aspirational envy. For the Sigma male, this entire paradigm represents a catastrophic misallocation of cognitive resources. He approaches fame with anthropological detachment, recognizing it as a social construct rather than a meaningful benchmark. When examining public figures, his focus remains ruthlessly utilitarian. He might analyze a CEO's negotiation tactics, study an athlete's training regimen, or deconstruct an artist's creative process, but the tabloid fodder surrounding these achievements gets immediately discarded as mental clutter. This discernment stems from a fundamental understanding of opportunity cost. Every hour spent speculating about celebrity divorces is an hour stolen from mastering a skill, deepening a real relationship, or advancing a personal mission. The psychological toll of celebrity obsession often goes unexamined. The emotional roller coaster of living vicariously through stars, exulting in their triumphs, despairing at their scandals, creates neural pathways identical to those formed by actual personal experiences. The Sigma recognizes this as neurological hijacking. Why outsource emotional states to strangers when authentic life offers richer stimuli? His media consumption follows the same principle as his nutrition. He rejects the empty calories of gossip in favor of protein-rich content that builds intellectual muscle. This selective engagement creates a formidable competitive advantage. While masses remain distracted by the Kardashian industrial complex, the Sigma's mind remains uncluttered, a clean workshop where ideas can be assembled without the static of irrelevant narratives. His relationships benefit equally. The emotional bandwidth reserved for parasocial connections gets redirected toward flesh-and-blood interactions where reciprocity exists. In an age where attention is the ultimate commodity, the Sigma's indifference to celebrity culture isn't aloofness, it's a strategic preservation of his most valuable asset, a mind free to think rather than react. Number 7. Following popular trends online. The digital attention economy operates on a brutal calculus: novelty equals value. Platforms algorithmically reward the new, the shocking, the instantly digestible, creating a perpetual churn of micro-trends, challenges, and viral obsessions. Each wave promises inclusion in the cultural moment, offering hits of dopamine through likes and shares, while covertly eroding capacity for sustained focus. The average user becomes a psychological weather vane, spinning to face whatever gust of collective enthusiasm blows through their feed. The Sigma male approaches this carnival of distraction with the skepticism of a seasoned investor evaluating a flashy IPO. His first question is always, does this serve my long-term objectives? A trend might pass this test if it offers genuine skill development, like a new productivity method, or aligns with existing interests and emerging technology in his field. But the majority, from dance crazes to outrage cycles, get categorized as neurological pollution. He understands that viral content is engineered to bypass rational filters, triggering primal responses that hijack attention. His resistance isn't about elitism, but about preserving cognitive sovereignty. Where others experience FOMO, fear of missing out, he cultivates JOMO, joy of missing out, the pleasure of watching trends crest and break from the shore while he remains immersed in deeper waters. This creates a compounding effect. While peers reset their focus with each new trend, the Sigma's uninterrupted concentration allows him to develop rare expertise. His skill set becomes an appreciating asset, while trend chasers accumulate depreciating fragments of transient knowledge. Crucially, his stance isn't anti-technology but anti-distraction. He may use the same platforms as others, but with surgical intentionality, curating inputs to serve his goals rather than surrendering to algorithmic whims. This selective engagement gives him an almost prophetic advantage. By observing trends without participating, he often spots their collapse points early, whether in markets, careers, or cultural movements. In an era where attention is the ultimate currency, the Sigma's greatest wealth is his indifference to what doesn't matter, proving that sometimes the most radical act is simply refusing to play. Number 8. Social group drama. Human social dynamics often operate like microeconomies of attention, where gossip and interpersonal conflicts become the default currency of connection. In many circles, bonding occurs not through shared purpose but through shared disapproval, uniting over mutual grievances, dissecting third-party missteps, or speculating about shifting alliances. These patterns create a perpetual motion machine of drama, where yesterday's confidant becomes today's subject of scrutiny, and emotional energy is siphoned into endless analysis of trivial slights. The Sigma male recognizes this as a catastrophic waste of psychological resources. His approach to group dynamics mirrors a surgeon's precision. He first identifies whether the conflict has any tangible impact on his goals or values. If not, he excises it from his mental space without apology. When directly involved, he employs a disciplined three-step protocol: address the issue clearly, establish non-negotiable boundaries, then disengage from further discussion. This strategy prevents the toxicity loops that trap others in cycles of rehashing, where the same grievance is endlessly reheated like emotional leftovers. What outsiders misread as detachment is actually advanced social hygiene. The Sigma understands that most group drama functions like psychological malware. It hijacks cognitive bandwidth better spent on creation rather than reaction. While others become unpaid emotional accountants, tracking every perceived debt and credit in relationships, he maintains a clean ledger. His conversations trend toward ideas and actions rather than personae and rumors. This isn't avoidance of conflict, but a refusal to let conflict become identity. The competitive advantage here is profound. In professional settings, his immunity to office politics allows him to navigate hierarchies with quiet efficiency. In personal circles, his reputation as a neutral party paradoxically elevates his influence. When he does speak, people listen precisely because they know his words aren't laced with hidden agendas. By conserving the energy others expend on social chess games, the Sigma accumulates reserves for genuine connection and meaningful work, proving that the most powerful social strategy is often selective participation. Final thoughts: the Sigma's path of sovereign living. The Sigma male's detachment from mainstream behaviors is often misread as disengagement, a cold withdrawal from the warmth of shared human experience. But this interpretation misses the essence entirely. His indifference isn't a deficiency of enthusiasm, but a redefinition of it. Where the collective chases dopamine hits of validation and novelty, the Sigma seeks something more enduring: the quiet mastery of a life engineered for depth, not distraction. Society operates on borrowed scripts, prepackaged notions of what fun should look like, how success should feel, and what deserves attention. The Sigma audits these assumptions with the precision of a strategist reviewing a battle plan. Every potential engagement is weighed against a simple but radical metric: does this expand or contract my sovereignty? High-volume nightlife, trend-chasing, social drama, these aren't rejected out of prudishness, but because they demand payment in currencies he refuses to spend: unfocused attention, fractured time, and emotional volatility. What emerges isn't a life of absence, but one of ruthless curation. The Sigma understands that freedom isn't just the ability to do what you want, but the discipline to not do what doesn't serve you. His no to trivialities is a yes to something far more potent, the preservation of mental real estate for pursuits that compound, skills that sharpen with time, relationships that reciprocate energy, and self-knowledge that withstands cultural turbulence. This philosophy manifests as a quiet rebellion against the attention economy's most insidious lie, that participation equals relevance. While others fragment themselves across endless trends and social obligations, the Sigma consolidates. His power grows not through viral moments, but through the slow burn of concentrated effort. Where the herd seeks belonging through consumption, he finds it through creation, not in the noisy center of the crowd, but in the fertile periphery where original thought still thrives. Ultimately, the Sigma's way is an invitation to reclaim agency in an age of manufactured consent. It proves that fulfillment isn't found in the volume of experiences, but in their voltage, that a handful of chosen, fully lived pursuits outshine a lifetime of half-hearted participations. His path isn't antisocial, it's anti-distraction. Not a withdrawal from meaning, but a pilgrimage toward it. And in a world drowning in noise, that clarity becomes its own kind of revolution. The question isn't whether this approach is better, it's whether you're willing to pay the price for it. Because the Sigma's greatest luxury isn't his indifference, but his attention. And in an era where attention is the ultimate currency, that makes him far richer than most will ever realize. What's your take on the Sigma mindset? Does this philosophy resonate with your approach to life, or do you see it differently? We're eager to hear your perspectives, share your insights, personal experiences, or even respectful disagreements in the comments. Thoughtful discussion is how we all grow. For those who want to explore this further, our channel offers more content dissecting the Sigma male's strategic approach to life, relationships, and self-mastery. Dive deeper into our other videos if you're committed to elevating your mindset beyond conventional norms. A final note to our community: your engagement fuels this dialogue. If you found value here, consider hitting like to help others discover this content. And if you're serious about operating at a higher level, subscribe. We're just getting started. The road to uncommon excellence is long, but it begins with a single step. Are you ready to take yours? For those who want to test their Sigma instincts, our next video reveals 5 critical decisions that separate Sigmas from the pack. Stay tuned.